This comment right here is the reason why we keep on having Diaspora wars. Because I'm telling you straight up what my problem is. I'm telling you, you have a xenophobic group within your community.
Hi lovelies and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, you're welcome to Building the Verse. Don't forget to please subscribe to this channel, turn on notifications so that anytime I upload a video, you will be the first person to be notified. To my returning subscribers, to those people that share my videos, leave commentaries, and also educate each and every one of us, you guys are the real MVP. Alright lovelies, let's dive into today's video.
Hey cool kids, Diaspora Wars. Black Americans versus Black Brits versus Nigerians. I don't do any of that at all for many reasons. It's mainly and ironically because I have deep knowledge, you might even call it expertise, in why conversations to and about Black Americans happen the way that they do. And most people don't want to have that conversation. And I do not mean that in a clickbait, they not ready for this kind of way. Let me show you what I mean. I spent 15 years of my life studying Black American history, and that means, unfortunately, I have to study racism. Racism has a very evil tendency of being broadly specific. There is a very important field of study called critical race theory, and one of the tenets of that theory is that racism is normal. Not normalized, it is normal. There are many racist ideas, but these to me are the three that guide the conversations that are had to and about Black American people. One, it is that African American people are inherently, willfully uneducated and naturally intellectually inferior, that we are stupid on purpose and that we are stupid inherently. Two, that African American people do not feel pain of any kind. We do not have the capacity to feel. And three, the idea that African American people get beneficial, special treatment because of chattel slavery. The key here is believing that chattel slavery is a non-special event. So we get beneficial, special treatment because of a non-special thing that happened to us. Every conversation that I have ever seen to and about African American people, especially on the internet, has contained one or more of these racist ideas, and the worst ones sit at the intersections of all three. And it's not just about a poorly worded conversation. Remember what I said? Racism has an evil tendency of being broadly specific because it is normal. This is why Donald Trump right now is picking cities with predominantly Black mayors and sending the military into those cities for no reason. When people say they don't get it, I believe them because most people don't. Racism is not just a tit for tat between white Americans and Black Americans. Anti-Black racism, specifically anti-Black American racism, is a social, philosophical, psychological, sometimes even physiological phenomenon that leads to some of not only the most barbaric violence that I have ever seen or studied, but also some of the most casual cruelty that I have ever seen or studied. Most people, when they talk about Black Americans, will freely admit that they know nothing about our history and culture, and in the same breath be so positively sure about all the conclusions they're coming to. Casual dehumanization is the only explanation for that. Which is why I can't have the diaspora war conversations, because most people do not hear what they are saying, but I hear it, and I know how serious it is, and that's terrifying. This is a little bit longer than my usual videos. I tried to cut it down as much as I could, but every word was important. Speaking of, there are very few instances where I will pull my academic rank, and this is one of them. We will not be going back and forth about whether or not this is true. Not understanding is fine, but thinking that you could debate the veracity, the validity of what I just said, in my field of study, that is the equivalent of someone who believes the earth is flat. Racism is normal, so anti-racism takes practice. So I would invite you to watch this video while practicing the anti-racist idea that a Black American person has produced something intellectual that you can learn from.
This comment right here is the reason why we keep on having Diaspora wars. Because I'm telling you straight up what my problem is. I'm telling you, you have a xenophobic group within your community. An anti-African xenophobic group. I'm telling you what my problem is. I'm African. I don't like the fact that these people from your community keep on attacking me and my people. I'm telling you, the FBA is a xenophobic group, anti-African group that keeps on attacking Africans. I'm telling you that straight up. And your answer is, it's not the majority of us. That's not what I'm asking you, brother. I'm asking you if you can do something about it. Listen, until the Black American community finds the courage to deal with that level of xenophobia within your community, I will keep my foot on their neck for eternity if I had to. And I don't want to see a single one of you come in my comment section to tell me how to handle the xenophobia that I'm getting from your community. The only reason why I'm saying xenophobia is because these people are Black just like me. If these people were white or Asian or anything else, I would be calling them racist, because that's exactly what it is, okay? this anti-African sentiment, okay, that your people seem to be okay with, we are not okay with it. So if you want unity, if you want me and my people to stand next to you, we are telling you we cannot stand next to you as long as you are standing next to xenophobic people. And your answer is no, it's not the majority of us. Do you know how many black people live in this country? 40 million. 40 million, okay? And you saying it's not the majority of you. Okay, cool. I'm gonna go super low, okay? I'm gonna go 1%. If FBA is only 1% of the black community, that is still 400,000 people. That's not a small group, okay? If FBA is only 0.5%, that is still 200,000 people. That's still not a small group, okay? I'm gonna go the lowest I can go. If FBA is 0.1%, that is still 40,000 people. I'm not trying to be somewhere where 40,000 people hit me. Hell no. So I don't want to see any one of you come in my comment section talking about, they talk about black Americans. I don't talk about black Americans. I talk about FBA. If you feel some type of way about it, congratulations, you are FBA.
So I'm going to use this comment to reply back to all of the Caribbeans in my comments, correcting me, right? My bad. To the Caribbean community, okay? Yes, you are in fact correct. Caribbeans did also go through chattel slavery, so sorry to exclude you guys from the group, mainly because my focus was on black individuals from the European diasporas, who, love to spew out nasty things about black Americans. But like in any good debate, I will have a rebuttal that there is still stark differences in the aftercare of slavery with Caribbean countries versus the U.S. The path to power was just different in the U.S. versus the Caribbean. One, in the Caribbean, black people were the majority pro-slavery. In the U.S., we were still a minority. With Caribbeans having majority in their country, they were able to redefine culture and get back to the roots of their African heritage, whereas in the U.S., white supremacy was still standing, honey. And till this day, it is still the root of many things. In the U.S., laws were created to keep black Americans essentially still slaves. I mean, you guys forget that, slavery ended in the U.S. not because of any major cry for, oh, this is wrong. Slavery ended in the U.S. simply because Abraham Lincoln wanted to give a big fuck you to the South because he wanted industrialism to thrive in the States, and that wasn't going to happen with the South dominating with slave labor. So hence the Civil War. Because that wasn't even the point of my original video, right? It wasn't to be whose slavery was worse than whose. It's just simply wanting other people to have, I guess, more of an understanding, just as though black Americans seem to have empathy and understanding for others. I think that's where this whole conversation arose from, right? Is that black people from other European diasporas took something cheeky and fun as black people discovering black Scottish people and made it a campaign of how stupid and ignorant and dumb we are. Because black people aren't, we know that there are black people everywhere. I think it's just exciting for, I think, black Americans to be able to see people that look like us have, I guess, a better experience in life with, living in their skin, right? It was more so of a conversation of well, how is it in Scotland? What are race relations like there? Is it, because we want to come from a place of community, whereas we are constantly being excluded, in this weird, my black is better than your black race, and it's just odd. So for black Americans, it is very disheartening when we hear other diasporas essentially spewing the same nasty white supremacy rhetoric that we hear every day from white and other cultures. So it's dang, if you can't go to Bella Noches, where the hell did you go? It's dang, I'm getting beat from all sides of the coin, even my own people. That's wild. because essentially looking at Black Americans as less than because not knowing where we come from, when we quite literally try to explain to you guys the rationale of why we don't know where we come from, and then when you hear it, you're still like, that's not an excuse. It's like, well, I don't know what else to tell you, sis. Like, if you're not listening to understand and listening to relate, or not even relate, but have empathy, then what the fuck is the point? Like, I don't know. The diaspora wars will continue because, for whatever reason, Black people from other diasporas refuse to open up their listening ears and truly hear what Black Americans are speaking about when we are talking about that our experience is unique. It is uniquely lived. Okay, so I understand that Black American history is not taught across the way. So let me give you a quick history lesson on why we are so passionate about our unique experience, okay? Not all slavery was the same. Hate to break it to y'all. Did slavery happen everywhere? Yes. But Black American slavery is unique because it was chattel slavery. So the concept of slavery here wasn't just forced labor, okay? It was the idea of property ownership, okay? Black people, our ancestors in this country, were considered property. They weren't even considered people. It was so ingrained in our society that there was a caste system created, meaning that if your mother was a slave, you were a slave. They essentially made it where Black people being slaves was hereditary. Black individuals from the other diasporas love to bring up the fact that Black Americans have no culture, while excluding the fact that the reason a lot of us don't have a direct link to our homeland is because we are the only diaspora that was stripped from us intentionally, right? Languages, names, cultures, all of that. In chattel slavery, it was intentional to keep us from knowing who we were, right? We are the only diaspora that happened to, right? In other diasporas, you were able to keep your names, your culture, your identity, speak in your native language. In the US, we were not. Also, slavery in the US lasted 30 to 40 years after slavery ended in other diasporas, okay? In other diasporas, you were able to buy your way out of slavery, marry your way out of slavery. That was not the case in chattel slavery. And even after slavery, it just didn't stop, right? We had Jim Crow, we had lynchings, mass incarcerations. I mean, you name it. Everything in this country is quite literally based on racism against Black people. Credit checks, the bar exam, hell, the goddamn ice cream song. So when you guys continue to say, oh my God, all Black Americans do is say, woe is me, it's not that. It's that you keep trying to diminish it as, well, we were all Black, we were all slaves at some point, baby. It's not one-to-one. Because every time y'all make little videos calling Black people ignorant and stupid, all it's doing is reinforcing white supremacy. Because I think what a lot of Blacks from different diasporas, you guys fail to realize, is the only difference between me and you is a cheeky little accent. You think if it was that simple, baby, Black people would be over here faking British, Scottish, Caribbean accents to the day we died. If y'all thought it was simply because we're American that we're oppressed over here, no, baby, come across the way. You'll be treated just the same. We welcome you with open arms to actually see what the experience is like here, right? We're not just making shit up. I promise. Pinky.
The Diaspora Wars is a phrase we keep hearing online, but let's strip away the memes, the jokes, the clapbacks, and the Twitter trends. At the heart of this is something deeper. A clash of histories, a clash of perception, and a clash of pen that has been centuries in the making. Black Americans are saying, listen to us, our history, our struggle, and our identity are not interchangeable with yours. Our experience is unique, and we are tired of being dismissed as if everything we have endured is just another chapter in the global Black experience. And yet, Africans and other people from the diaspora are saying, no, we are tired too. We carry our own struggles, our own scars, and what hurts us most is the venom from groups within the Black American community, particularly the group calling themselves FBA, that direct open xenophobic at us. And it is this collusion, this refusal on both sides to truly hear one another that keeps the diaspora wars alive. Let's start with the Black American side. When Black Americans say our slavery was unique, they aren't exaggerating. Chattel slavery in the United States wasn't just labor exploitation. It wasn't something you could buy your way out or escape from by marriage. It was total ownership. If your mother was a slave, you were a slave. Your humanity was erased by law. You were classified as property, not as person. That heritage bondage created an entire caste system designed to make blackness itself synonymous with enslavement. Unlike in many other parts of the diaspora, Black Americans were stripped internationally of their cultural ties. Language is gone, names gone, direct connection to African slaves gone. Caribbean people, South African people, even some Africans under colonial rule could still retain names, languages, cultural practice, even if it was under threat. But in the US, the system of chattel slavery was deliberate in making sure there would be no return, no cultural anchor, no easy path to knowing where you came from. That wasn't an accident, it was designed. And when slavery ended in the Americas, the US held on to it longer than many other nations. Even when it didn't end. It did not end. Jim Crow laws followed, lynching followed, segregation followed, the prison industry complex followed. Every major system from housing to credit to education to healthcare carried the fingerprint of racism. And that is the point Black Americans are hammering. We are not just crying, woe is me. We are saying that this system was uniquely built to ensure our oppression. And when outsiders dismiss that with we are all enslaved or all black people have struggled, that dismissal cuts deep because it feels like erasure. It feels like a refusal to acknowledge the deceptive trauma of black Americans, to call black Americans cultureless while ignoring the fact that their culture was ripped away intentionally. That is adding insults to injury. But here is where the clash sharpens. Africans, Caribbeans, and others are pushing back. They are saying, okay, fine, our history is unique. We respect that. But what about now? What about the xenophobia that comes from your side? What about the FBA, Foundational Black Americans, who openly attack Africans online, calling them foreigners, tellers, akatas, and worse? What about the energy that paints Africans as invaders or opportunists in a land that was stolen by white supremacy in the first place? And when Africans say, we can't stand next to you if you stand with xenophobias, they mean it. Imagine being Africa, seeing people who look just like you, who shared millennia and shared oppression under white supremacy. Suddenly directing hate at you is jarring. It feels like betrayal, and when the answer from some black Americans is, oh, that is just a small group, that is not the majority of us, it doesn't land as a reassurance. Why? Because even 1% of a community of 40 million is still hundreds of thousands of voices. Even 0.1% is tens of thousands of voices. That is not small. That is not something you can just brush aside. So Africans ask, what are you doing to address this? Where is the public rejection, the accountability, the discipline within the black American community toward FBA style xenophobia? Because from their view, silence looks like consent. Now, here is where the war gets deadly. Both sides are taking past each other. Black Americans are saying acknowledge our unique history. Africans are saying acknowledge the xenophobia in your house. Both are right, but both refuse to yield. And why we argue? Why supremacy wins? Why we are at each other's throats? The same system that changed, segregated, and dehumanized continues to feed on the division. Let's pause here. Black Americans point out that the only difference between them and Africans, Caribbeans, or Black Europeans is a so-called chicken little accent. You step into the United States as a black person, and that accent won't save you from being black here. Racism doesn't care. Racism doesn't ask for your passport. Racism doesn't distinguish whether you are FBA or African born. To the system, you are just black. That is the invitation black Americans are given. Come live here and see. You will face the same police, the same surveillances, the same suspicions, the same glass selling, it's not a fabrication. But Africa counter, okay, if it is the same, then why direct the hate at us? Why create movement built around insulting us, degrading our culture, questioning our blackness? Why is it the resentment so strong that it leads to harassment, dozing, and constant online abuse? If unity is truly the goal, then why stand silently while xenophobic faction in your community grow louder? And so we have two truths colliding. Truth one: Black Americans endure a unique system of slavery and oppression that created a cultural disconnection unmatched elsewhere. Truth 2: Africans are right to call out the xenophobia and hostility directed at them by part of the Black American community. The diaspora wars will continue because either side wants to blend. Black Americans don't want to feel erased, Africans don't want to feel disrespected. Both sides carry justified pain, but both sides also throw fuel on the fire. Let's imagine alternatives. What would it look like if Black Americans loudly rejected xenophobia in their ranks, calling out FBA not as a cultural pride but as a destructive division? What would it look like if Africans acknowledged that yes, the unique horrors of chattel slavery deserves recognition and stop dismissing it with all we suffered? What would it look like if both sides stopped defending the indefensible and instead of build bridge over their pain? Because here is the cruel irony. Why we fight about who had it worse? The system that created all of it sits comfortably. Why supremacy never worried about whether you were FBA, Ghanaian, Jamaican or Nigerian? To them, you are all the same. And yet, instead of uniting under that shared reality, we turned inward, attacking one another in death squabbles. This is not just an online argument. It is a fracture in global black identity. It is the echo of slavery, colonization, segregation, and anti-black racism reverberating across centuries. Until we acknowledge each other fully, not just partially, not just with disclaimers, the diaspora wars will range on.
And if you have watched up to this extent, thank you so much for all the love and support. Don't forget to please leave me your own thought in the comment section of what you think of this video. And please do not forget that we do not support any form of bullying and harassment. Alright, lovely. See you when I upload the next video.